Welcome to the Do London Differently podcast. I am your host, Michael Schilling. This week we are talking about Paris. And is Paris really the benchmark for cycling? At the end of last year, I joined some MPs, peers, and cycling leaders on an All Party Parliamentary Group for Cycling and Walking day trip to Paris. I wasn't there as a lobbyist or as London National Park City, but as a videographer and photographer, capturing a 24 strong group whizzing through the city on line bikes. As we boarded the 7 a.m. Eurostar from St Pancras, we had one question. Is cycling in Paris really that good? And how did they pull it off? Spoilers, yes, it is good. and it happened because Paris had the political will over perfection, moving fast, learning in public, and rebalancing street space away from cars. You're going to hear from people on that trip, what impressed them, what still feels sketchy, and what London could steal tomorrow. Let's go.
London has been given the first ever national park city status.
London, the world's first national park city.
Come and enjoy, because life's too short, really and truly.
And London, wow, what an amazing city.
So, greener,
healthier,
and wilder.
Well, I think the centre of Paris, cars are still prevalent, but they're far, far fewer than they were when I was here 8 years ago. This is a city I know very well, and I've really noticed the changes. It's quite extraordinary. Rue de Rivoli, which was 4 lanes of traffic, is now 1 lane of traffic and 2 lanes of bicycles. It's absolutely incredible transformation. Well, I think the problem is that Paris is a city that was carefully planned in the 19th century. And it's got some amazingly long, straight boulevards, some quite wide avenues, as well as some of the narrow back streets. Cities like London, Leeds, Sheffield, Manchester have grown organically, and they are a mixture of old and Victorian and older buildings. It's much more difficult to do those changes in the kind of higgledy-piggledy nature of British cities than it is, for example, here in Paris, which is really extraordinary the way it's planned. I think New York probably would find it easy because of its grid system. But in a city like London, it's much more difficult. Persuading, as Paris has done, such a huge percentage of commuters to use active travel, whether that's wheeling, legalizing and regulating those electric scooters that most cyclists don't like very much, but a fact of life, and making it easier for cyclists. So not just segregated cycle lanes, but properly policed, properly maintained as well. Because I use cycle lanes, for example, in Leeds, but they're not well maintained. And very often there are huge vans and lorries parked on them, using them as a car park. Now that's why we need enforcement, and we need a change of culture. And I've noticed that in Paris, a huge percentage over the last 8 years since I came, of cars have been they're just not on the road. I think I think they've halved the number of cars in central Paris, and therefore proportionately and disproportionately increased the number of cyclists, walkers, pedestrians and wheelers.
Well, Paris has changed unbelievably. I've came here in the 1990s, and there was a cacophony of engines and horns and gridlock traffic. We've got around Paris on line bikes, beautifully and safely, and the air quality is better, the noise quality is better, and the whole experience of Paris for me now in this day and age is so much better than it was even 20-30 years ago. The connectivity of safe infrastructure. I have a great constituency with some infrastructure, but it doesn't connect up to the rest of the city of Manchester. So that's what's really key, is getting rid of those barriers and those junctions that prevent people from walking and cycling to their workplace or to for their leisure purposes or for their school purpose.
Quite honestly, I feel quite jealous. And one of the things I've noticed is there's a phenomenal degree of tolerance between pedestrians and cyclists. You don't get that in London. Pedestrians get very annoyed at cyclists. And cyclists behave badly here as well. But somehow the pedestrians don't mind. But it is fantastic to see what Paris has done. And 20 years ago, I came here and met the Deputy Mayor, Anne Hidalgo, and went straight back to London and said to Ken Livingstone, you've got to start doing what they're doing. But Paris left us behind. Well, one of the things I really liked was on one road where the cars had something like a quarter of the space and cyclists had 3/4 of the space. It was absolutely incredible. And of course, it means, the traffic flows better because there's more people on bikes. And it was absolutely brilliant. I was really impressed. So road space reduction for cars.
It's quite incredible how much has changed in Paris in a very short space of time. The iconic bits of the city centre that used to effectively be massive roundabouts for cars or often car parks because of congestion are now given over to pedestrians and indeed cycling routes. So yeah, really impressive that there's been sustained leadership here delivering that change. Well, I think the key lesson from Paris and the mayor Anne Hidalgo is that if you have put sustained leadership and direction into something, you can achieve significant and radical change very quickly. But you've got to be clear about what you want to do in terms of walking and cycling, and you've got to be able to hold that course. That's what I think we really need to learn in the UK.
I mean, it's fantastic to see what's happened here. I think the biggest lesson that Paris seems to have discovered is not to let the perfect be the enemy of the possible. So they've kind of evolved their system, and it's grown and grown. And they've used various things like the Olympics, like COVID before it, like other things, to really make the system grow. I think it's really admirable and fascinating to see. I think too often in the UK we do let the perfect be the enemy of the possible, and I think we've got to be much more open-minded and adjust and change with the times, and change with make things happen in the best way they can. That's the one lesson I would take forward.
I'm Ruth Cadbury. I'm the chair of the Transport Select Committee and MP for Brentford and Isleworth. It's been a really interesting day coming to Paris and riding around on Lime bikes, but also visiting the town hall of the centre of Paris area, and also Parliament. I think looking at the streets of Paris, which are a much bigger version of the same sort of townscape as parts of central London, in a way, the work that the city authorities have done to create space for cycling has almost been has been a real product of success. And in some areas, there's almost too many cycles, too much pressure on the infrastructure. It's just so busy, particularly with cyclists and pedestrians, and to some extent vehicles. But I can see for myself that there really are probably 50% fewer vehicles in the middle of Paris. So I wish them well. They've got more work to do. One of the challenges is on the signals. They need to do a bit of that. They know they've got a challenge to persuade the signalling authority to adjust things that favour cycling and walking rather than vehicles. But very impressive, really interesting to meet city representatives, the deputy mayor for the centre of Paris, and also parliamentarians in the beautiful National Assembly.
My name's Jenny Jones. I'm a Green Party member of the House of Lords, and I really, really enjoyed today. It was 3+ hours cycling around some very beautiful parts of Paris, the centre. I was impressed with some of the changes that the Parisians have made to cycle accessibility, but I did have a momentary concern about whether or not pedestrians are being well served. When I asked about this, they suggested that a lot of measures had been put in very quickly, and it was now time to perhaps improve the quality of them. So that's something I will look out for in the future here in Paris. I wouldn't say there's any easy wins because there's so much opposition to change of any sort, absolutely everywhere. But I would have thought perhaps that we could take more road space away from cars. It's more difficult in London than it is in Paris because in Paris the roads are wide. Most of the roads are wider, and we have inherited a lot of very narrow roads, quite limited. But we managed it during COVID. We took a lot of space for extra space for pedestrians, and I think we could do it for cyclists as well. That's something we really should think about doing.
My name is Mariam Dreyer. I'm the CEO of Joyriders. I think today was really lovely. It was very inspiring to see how the French designed the infrastructure in Paris, especially. It was really great to hear the history behind it as well, how many more people took up cycling, and to hear how French politicians work cross-party together to make this all happen.
Alice Pleasant, Senior Public Affairs Manager at Lime. I mean, it's been great to host everyone here today in Paris. We're really proud to support this tour and showcase our work here. There's no better way to cycle around Paris than via Lime, and no better way to get around Paris than cycling. The city is a really good example of rapid transformation for active travel, which is central to Lime's mission to make transportation shared, affordable and carbon-free.
So I'm Xavier Bryce. I'm CEO of Walk, Wheel, Cycle Trust. It's possible you'd know us better as Sustrans. We renamed at the start of this month. So I guess I had 3 takeaways from Paris. The first actually struck me when I first visited after a long gap last year, which is the place is transformed, utterly transformed. So the space given over to people on cycles is quite extraordinary, and it's just made a massive difference to the city. Way less traffic, less parked cars everywhere. If you haven't been to Paris for the last 5 years or so, or never been, come. It is utterly transformed, and that was really evident today as well. On an autumn day, it was still hugely busy with people rather than vehicles. The second observation is the fact that actually that in a lot of the places, the space has been given over to a remarkable degree on streets and wide Parisian boulevards, and it's a really bold political decision to do that, and they're filling up. What's not been done so well are the junctions, and that really struck today, sort of cycling through some of the junctions that felt, frankly, a little bit sketchy, and hearing the different reasons why was really interesting, and it shows that nowhere's perfect. So Paris is, one of the leading lights on active travel now in capital cities of Europe, but there's still things that really need to be done better. And just on a similar point, some of the infrastructure that is there is full up already because the demand is there. People want to cycle. And then the third thing that struck me was actually the diversity of different types of bikes, different types of people cycling. It really is quite remarkable in terms of the different types of people you see. It's still not as diverse as those in Paris would like to see, and those who've been behind the big change. But it really was quite striking.
Simon O'Brien, the Liverpool City Region Cycling Commissioner. I came expecting Paris to be transformed, and it is. But funnily enough, it's really, really imperfect. And oddly, I don't find that upsetting. I find that really invigorating, because what they decided to do was just do it. And if that meant it isn't perfect, go back and revisit it and make it perfect further down the line. But do it, do something. And so that's my take home from today, is with the right political will from the top, it doesn't have to be Holland tomorrow. It has to be something that people can use. And if you give them that, what the people of Paris have demonstrated is they will use it. And then they may start complaining about it. Well, that's fantastic. You've got something to complain about. That's what we don't do in the UK. In the UK, everything has to be either perfect or nothing at all. No, do it the Parisian way. Do something and then take on the complaints and make it better.
So my name's Emily Cherry and I'm the Chief Executive of the Bikeability Trust. So what I'd like to firstly say thank you to the All Party Parliamentary Group on Cycling and Walking for an amazing day coming out to Paris. For us, the priority is always about children. It's always about cycling to school. It's always about the health and education of children. So it was really great to hear that Savoie en relais en vélo, which is the French version of Bikeability, and we've helped them to set that up, has definitely got the commitment of the French Parliament to grow, to make sure that every class in France has the opportunity to learn to cycle. Really been impressed with some of the infrastructure today. And certainly the traffic volumes in Paris, that we've seen much less traffic on that place. But I've also really taken away from the day that some of the infrastructure that we're designing in the UK is very complex and very over-designed. Sometimes simple just does best to encourage everyone to cycle.
I'm Trudy Harrison, Senior Advisor at Fusion and Chair of the Bikeability Trust. Highlights for me in Paris is the fact that they've just got on with it. It's actually not perfect, but it's so much better than not having any segregated, designated infrastructure. And so I praise the Parisians for just getting on with it. It's been a beautiful day. We've enjoyed the river rides, we've enjoyed the hosts, we've enjoyed the tours, and we've all returned inspired.
I'm Natalie Lindsay and I'm a trustee at LCC, which is the London Cycling Campaign. I loved travelling through Paris on the Line bikes and seeing the infrastructure. A lot of it is amazing. Some of it is less amazing, but it's there and it's being used and it's being well used. And you can see some of it is already too small. And the fantastic thing is the transformation has happened so fast and the buy-in has happened so fast. And I would love to see that pace of change happening in the UK as it has in Paris and as it has in the whole country. We had an incredibly interesting time talking to lots of different people, and they were all saying exactly the same challenges that we're facing in the UK. There's no need to reinvent any wheels. We know what works. We just need to get going. And we had a fantastic sunny time cycling along the River Seine.
Hello everyone, my name's Ed Clancy. I'm the Active Lives Commissioner in South Yorkshire, Managing Director of British Cycling Foundation. And we've been on a big field trip today to see Paris. Takeaways. I think it's great to see the speed in which things have been done here in Paris. But I tell you what, I have a newfound appreciation for, a good LTN 120 standard. I think there's a lot to be said for consistency and familiarity. And, I think it's amazing to see that things have really shifted here quick time. But yeah, I'm aware that I think what we do really well in London is we have familiarity and consistency, when things are done to that standard. I think another big takeaway is there was talk about the Rugby World Cup, the 2012 Olympics, and, indeed coronavirus. And it was almost used as those major events, albeit some good and bad, were used as like a catalyst to instigate change in terms of policy, which ultimately led to infrastructure getting in the ground quick time. And, I can't help but try and translate that thought into our own world. We've got a big, exciting bike race coming in 2027. And I can't help but feel there's potentially an opportunity for us to get our heads together to try and do the same thing.
Hi, I'm Duncan Dollimore, Head of Campaigns at Cycling UK. My key takeaway from our day in Paris is just how much things have changed in the last 10 years. So many more people cycling than when I last came here, cycling 10 years ago on another work trip. And yeah, really great start to some of the infrastructure they've introduced. And it's clear what can be achieved with some political will. Some of the infrastructure was a little bit confusing. I think there's something about making that a little bit clearer. But on the plus side, it's clear that they've had the political will to just get on and do stuff rather than wait for it to be perfect. And I think there's something to learn from that in terms of actually just making sure you get something delivered, because we spend a lot of time in the UK talking about delivery and occasionally we don't actually get the thing done. And that's what they've done very well here.
London has been given the first ever national park city status.
London, the world's first national park city.
Come and enjoy, because life's too short, really and truly.
And London, wow, what an amazing city.
So,
greener,
and wilder.